All right, and we're at issue number 5. I'm gonna let Chris introduce this one.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our review of No Quarter Magazine issue 5. This is for March 2006.
That's right.
And Hordes is finally unleashed.
Hordes. Okay.
And once again, the credits and Fire in the Hole.
Fire in the Hole. Tables of contents. Moving along.
The Bosun's Call.
All right. And whenever we come to this, we just want to remind everybody that, you know, if you listen to the last video, you saw the last video, you got any comments, you can actually add it here. And also that if you've got any questions, ask away. We are recording from Malaysia. Malaysia's in Southeast Asia. It's
just a little south of Singapore.
It's a little north
of Singapore.
What?
I told you geography wasn't my strong suit.
And south of Thailand. Have a look on the map if you want to know where Malaysia is. Here we've got Jakarta Town.
The most
and this
fabulous Kodiak I've ever seen.
this one's
right pig.
This one's in Belgium. Okay.
Pom-poms.
All right, now we've got the new releases. These are the March releases. The Spreadin, Hammersmith.
2 nice beefy jacks.
Yeah, but what we want to see is the April releases, right?
Yep. And here we have Hordes and their Troll Bloods.
Yeah, this is the Troll Blood starter. We've got the Oberos starter.
Warlock.
The Everbright starter. And the Scorn starter. And if you're watching this, if you're just starting this game after 2020, back in the day when a new rule set came out, there was a book. Yeah. So you had the Hordes book. It came out in April 2006. There you go. Now I want to say now you know, but it's more like now we remember.
More like now we remember.
Yeah,
Looking back.
Okay. I'm going to let you take over.
They really sped up here. I mean, they're previewing the second warlock of each of the factions already.
Horlock Doomshaper
and his big bag of scrolls.
Moving on, we've got Baldo, the Stone Cleaver. The color scheme for Oberos.
Very green, very earthy, green, gold, and brown.
I think they could have chosen another color scheme. To be honest, when Hordes first came out,
something a bit more vibrant, perhaps.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what I was looking for or what I was waiting for, but this definitely was not it.
Brown is not a good color to leave.
Yeah, I mean the store is called Wolf Game Shop, so obviously I was going to build an Oberos force, but when I looked at the scalps, you know, they didn't pop. Not to me. They didn't pop to me. I mean the wolf didn't look so good.
The brown. It's the brown.
Moving on. We've got Tagrosh.
Yes, the big old blighted ogre.
Tagrosh. We've got Arc Domina Makeda. Which is great because it also shows that, you know, it's got a bit of a Japanese vibe as well. Japanese
desert Klingon vibe.
with like trunkless elephants.
Yep.
Yeah, I would love to see the design document for Hordes actually, especially Scorn. So we've got this new faction. It's got elephants with no trunks.
And forearms,
led by these like pseudo-Japanese guys. Yeah, I'd probably say yes. Next we've got Spreadin. Tell me about this. It's a scenario, yeah.
I think this was a scenario. Yes, that's right.
So it's Oberos.
The circle starter, the circle of Oberos starter against the Scorn starter.
So Warpack scenario. So for War Machine, they branded it different for Hordes. So
the starter boxes were battle groups for War Machine and war packs for Hordes.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right. Okay, so over here we see the deployment zones. Scorn versus Circle. We'll try to run one of these. So moving on, we got Lying in Wait. This is a narrative scenario, another narrative scenario.
Yep, this time it is Legion versus Trolls, I believe.
Yeah, I think this is kind of smart because it gives all the different factions a go. You know, they didn't like leave it to just two factions, so you get a sample of each one. And by now, I think they were expecting that people already had bought their starters.
Around that time, it would have released, so people would have been eager to get them onto the table and give them a spin.
2006 is pretty much the shop's third year in business. Yeah, so yes, when Hordes came in, there was a huge shipment for Hordes, and
this was a big thing because the Fury mechanic really changed things up. It caught a lot of War Machine players by surprise into how different and yet similar the starters were.
Okay, so to the casual, non-Private the Press listener, if you're still listening, which is amazing, you're still listening, Chris is going to tell you the difference between Focus and Fury, just very quickly.
Okay, think of it as resource management for Focus and risk management for Fury. So for War Machine, your Warcaster is like a battery. He has a focus stat, and to power his battle group of Warjacks, he has to allocate the focus and cast spells. So your resources are sort of being spread thin.
Right.
But for Hordes, it works in reverse. The Warlock does not generate what his focus equivalent, which is called Fury. Instead, the Beasts gather it for him. Rather than it being a resource that's given out to spend, War Beasts are the way that generate it.
Yeah, and actually, if from a game designer point of view, of which I've had my hand in designing games, there seems to be a lot more control when you're playing War Machine, and a lot more chaos when you're playing Hordes.
Yeah, it gives you that
more
one
primal.
That one turn of absolute power.
Right.
But next thing you know, your beasts are all chewing on each other.
Right. So there you go. So if you're listening and you did not know this, thank you very much for listening and stick with us. We've got a lot of issues to go. So moving on, we've got competitive War Machine scenarios. Here is where things started getting more competitive.
Yep.
I can understand why they would go competitive. It's balanced scenarios. It gives both players a chance to work their strengths and weaknesses in order to play and win. So
capturing zones, and you notice the equidistant starting lines. So this way, it was a very balanced sort of field.
Right. So you got.
Let's see. We have killing field, possession, and sabotage.
Cool. Moving on. Another
ad for the press gang program.
Yeah. If you were a press ganger in 2006, do leave us a comment. I would like to ask you guys what you guys
tell us about your experiences.
Yeah, tell about experiences. Moving on, we got Bond of Brothers.
Ah, yes, a short story. This was the story of the bond between Madrak and Leto, of King Leto of Signar.
That's good, man. The cover art. I mean, the splash is really nice.
Very snaz, yeah. Oh yes, young nice. Leto and his fancy sword, and what was it called again? Chief Madrak Ironhide.
Back in the day, the fluff, 5 pages, 6 pages, sometimes even like 15 pages.
Way more than that.
Yeah. Look at this.
Because these were full short stories.
Look at that. Slav. If you are in any way into like reading good short stories, go and look online. Maybe we will find secondhand copies of these magazines. I think we've also have some secondhand magazines in the store if you want to inquire. But if you're getting the magazines after the fact, I mean after 2006, basically in 2016, 2026, you can just get them for the sake of the story. I think. Do you think the stories hold?
The stories do hold.
There you go. So yeah. So if you find a no quarter in your bargain bin,
go for it.
Yeah, just go for
the
it.
hobby articles, and the lore alone make it all worth it.
Right. Cool. Unleashed, April 2006.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. Great. Moving along, we got the Pendrake Encounters.
Death in the Marches, Part 3.
There you
And
go.
this time we're covering the Basilisk. Ooh, ugly little fella, isn't he?
Yeah. What's it? Is it a frog? Is it a...
It's a lizard. I believe they were styled after desert lizards. And then they just thought it would be a really good idea to give it those extruded eyeballs like hammerhead sharks.
Right. Yeah.
To be honest, they've always been really weird looking to me. Of all the creatures, the basilisk was... I guess they really wanted to do something that was different from the typical mythological beastie.
Yeah. Moving along. Foundry, Forge, and Crucible. This one is you can list alchemy.
Poisons and drugs.
Moving along. It was what was it the last issue? It was
Cigars.
no, the one before that it was grenades and yeah, this one is poisons and drugs. Yeah, actually, you know what? If you were a casual browser in the world of War Machine, this gives away how low down, how
down and dirty the adventuring can be.
Drugs, grenades, cigars. Very, very not PC. Examples of poisons and drugs. Yeah, extremely not PC.
Ooh, poison knives. Those were always neat. Ooh, I loved this one.
Uncovering the Algarth. Tell me.
There was so little material on them at the time, but the Algarth were basically the conquerors of the Iron Kingdoms, the oppressors under which Western Imran was held for, I think it was a century, 2 centuries, before they finally brought in magic and steam jacks to drive them away. And dotted throughout Western Imran's landscape were various old burial mounds, temples, old ruins of former Algarth fortresses that would usually prove very interesting adventure locations.
Have you ever used any of this material?
Oh yes, even in the current era Iron Kingdoms, I still very much use the remnants of the Algarth civilization.
What would be the hook that you use to hook your adventurers in using the Algarth?
Well, usually the promise of very, very fancy old coins, pre-era swag, basically. Forbidden tomes of ancient tomes of forbidden power.
I think later.
I remember someone wanted a chair.
Oh, nice. What does the chair do?
I remember it screamed at them a lot.
It's a screaming chair.
Yes.
Oh.
It was filled with tormented souls, and
what does it do? What's it do?
it was literally a form of Algarth interior decoration.
Oh, wow.
It's just one player decided it would be perfect in his living room.
You know what? I think later, once we're done with all the magazines, we will go through the role-playing game.
Oh, yes.
We will. Moving on, we've got Guts and Gears. This one's the Widowmakers.
Good old Cardo, best faction ever. No bias here.
Yeah, no bias. The sculpts for the Widowmakers were very, very nice. They had a nice winter vibe to it. They looked cool. They looked like
I think it was based on the whole Stalingrad kind of.
Yeah, the lone sniper. But this was the answer to the long gunners, I think.
Yes, it was. A nice fancy winter coat and hunting rifle.
The Widowmaker rifle right here.
And the good old mule.
Technical cutaway. It's got a little barrel. It's got a little.
Yeah, because the idea
in it.
was that it wasn't launched by explosives. It was actually launched by steam pressure.
Nice. Moving along. Yeah, technical.
The mule was a classic, one of Signar's oldest and most reliable jacks.
Yeah. If you were to choose your top 3 mercenary jacks, what would they be?
I would say the
The mule. Sorry, let's not make it difficult. Will the mule be on your top 3?
Yes, definitely third.
Cool. Here you've got the different color schemes. I like this one, the little winter one. It's so different because you
It's a
expect
bit blue.
Yeah, you expect it to be red. It's got this nice ice vibe to it. I like this one. Which one do you like?
I'm more partial to the grey and red myself. It's a bit more somber. Not so day glow bright. Which is odd given my usual taste.
Okay, right. Moving along, we've got modeling and painting.
Yes, the first circle models. Here we can see
How bad the models were. No, just joking. No. Yeah, we can see the horde models.
And what was really nice was you notice the two Argai,
Yeah.
the two-headed doggos.
Right.
They actually had unique sculpts for having two of the same beast. Good bit of variety. So there was Kaya with her two Argai and the Warp Wolf, and as well as their first infantry unit, the Wolves of Orberus. Angry wildsmen in leather and furs wielding very oddly shaped spears.
And we've got the Scorn.
Yes. Oh, I always love this cyclopiece.
Oh, the Japanese Scorn. There's Japanese-inspired trunkless elephant faction. Yeah, with
And
like
strange one-eyed samurai.
slightly zombie or slightly vampiric-looking units. Actually, they look good. They do look good.
They do look very.
But when we were, I think about a year in from when Hordes came out, very underrepresented in the shop was Obros, and second was Scorn.
Yes, that's right.
Then we've got Legion of Black. My God,
Legion was popular when it first came out.
Legion was tops.
I almost started Legion because of the little shredders, the little piranhas on feet. But then when I looked around, I think you had like 3-4 Legion players when it first popped up.
Could it be because it had a nice Xeno vibe to it? You know, it looked really. I'm not
Most of the people who started
Why did-
Legion,
why did
they
not-
like dragons.
Yeah. But you have 4 factions, and then one faction accelerates to the 4. You know.
Yes.
I mean, if there were 2 factions which were more or less unique, it'd be Scorn and Legion, and you expect both of them to be on the 4.
No, but Legion just went.
Right.
I think it was because the shredders were adorable.
Anyway, so we got Trollbloods. Yeah, Trollbloods were.
Troubles was a very interesting starter box out of all of them, because you'll notice that it's the only starter with no heavies. It's all light beasts.
I think also it's the most familiar of the 4. No, yeah, I would say Ouroboros is also familiar, but this is even more familiar. Trolls. I mean, most fantasy worlds have trolls, right? So when somebody is choosing a new army to get, they've got a choice. You know, they either choose the zoo, which is the Ouroboros, or they choose to go for the, I don't know what this is, samurai vampire skin looking trunkless elephants.
The exotic.
Right? Or no, I would think this is even more exotic. The Everblight is even more exotic. Then they see the Trollbloods and go,
The trolls are very down to
I
earth.
understand trolls. They are tough. I understand trolls. They are
And they also had a lot of references to Scottish culture.
with the
all the
tartans.
kilts.
And yeah.
And
Right. So moving along, we have the
the scattergunners. Yes, nothing's more terrifying than a bunch of burly trolls with shotguns.
they're called scattergunners. You know, no accuracy here. Right. So standing stones, some terrain.
How to make your druidic monuments.
We actually had somebody in the store who did this. Yeah, and I still have bits of this in my storeroom.
Snaz?
No, it's not very well. They were not very well done.
Oh.
Oh God.
Well, it's not easy to do. Look at those carvings.
But nice. I think it's great that they have the factions spotlights. They have the scenarios for the
And
factions.
terrain that really ties in.
This is great.
Very
Issue
well.
5 is the Here Comes the Hordes issue.
Oh, this was snaz. The display base.
Building a simple scenic base. This is for people who have showcases in their houses, Or if you're sending your army in for a army contest or a competition,
Yep.
this is great
A
because
great way to display them.
yeah. I think if you actually have a display case, like glass display case,
This is a really good way to.
it adds unifies all your models.
Yep.
Scenic bases, a large scenic base, you know. Yeah, it's got a little like.
I think he won that little medal in a tournament, which is why he wanted it to have point of pride in the center of his army.
Nice. Haley, toe to toe.
Ah yes. Oh yes, this was another army article showing how to use Haley with a variety of jacks, support solos, and the sword knights. You know, I almost started Signal because of sword knights.
Really?
They were very snaz. They remind me of the Warcraft footmen. Very chunky, very.
You don't want to open this box, but I'll open it. So why wouldn't you start Signer? I know you're now knee deep in Cardo metal. Knee deep. You got almost everything.
Only knee.
Yeah. But why didn't you start Signer?
Honestly? Because I thought Cardo Jacks looked adorable. They looked big plushy.
And the tilt to almost starting Signa was?
The sword knights.
Wow, really?
Yes. And then I realized I didn't like Signa Jacks.
Well, how slight is that? Anyways, moving on, the siege on Fort Lauten. Apparently this is a multiplayer War Machine game.
Oh, okay. This is when they were introducing multiplayer scenarios.
Oh man, multiplayer scenarios. Say that, man.
Multiplayer scenarios?
No, I mean War Machine multiplayer scenarios.
Yes.
Actual multiplayer scenarios. It starts here, right?
This was one of the first, yes.
3-player maps, 4-player maps. 3-player maps are difficult. Actually, to be honest,
I feel really sorry for the guy who's going to be rolling for the center.
Yeah, but in most new groups, if you're a new gamer, it's easy to buy an army. If you're a new gamer, it's easy to convince a friend to buy an army. If you're an easy gamer, it's slightly hard, but it's not so hard to get a third person to play. So usually most gaming groups are like three solid people, but there are very few scenarios that cater to 3 people playing. They're usually like 4. Either it's 4, each for their own, or it's 2 aside. There are very few 3-player scenarios.
Oh, my group just used to improvise.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think for groups which know how to do that, it's great. But here is a guide, you know.
This was a very good way for showing new players how to make. If you've got an uneven number of players, here's a good way so that everybody can have a game on game night.
Yeah, jump off point. Great. Again,
Once again, the open game license,
retailer list, and we are here.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's nice. We are now. Well, if you're looking, we're under M, and that's Malaysia, right up there, right above Mexico and below Japan. But you know, if you don't know where Malaysia is, we're right above Singapore.
Yes.
And below Thailand.
This is why you handle geography.
There's the poop deck. Gen Con SoCal. Oh man, I think there's less than 50 words here, but I think the pictures more or less.
Well, you know what they say, pictures worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures.
35,000 words there, right?
There you go. And the last picture, Chris.
Ah yes, previewing more of the new shinies coming for Hordes.
Great. Last page. Unleashed.
Kaya and her fuzzy friends.
Alright, so that's pretty much issue number 5. If you've stayed with us this long, we'd like to thank you for staying.
Hope you've enjoyed the review.
Yeah, and do understand it takes a lot to do videos like this. Actually, me and Chris in his house at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So we've done 5. Do let us know if you want to see some more. This is new.
Below.
Yeah. But before we go, I just want to add that if you're wondering what happens during these recordings, we pulled the magazine out and we've not seen these magazines for
years.
Yeah, 2006 is
14 years ago.
Yeah, we haven't seen this magazine for 14 years, and sometimes we might get a lot of things mixed up or wrong, or we might even not remember things right. So it's great that you are here while we're doing this. Yeah, you got anything else to say?
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this journey with us, and if you have read these issues, why don't you tell us about your experiences? Have you tried any of the scenarios, any of the articles? Do let us know.
Excellent. On that note, say goodbye, Chris.
Have a good night.
Good night. We'll see you in the next one.